Hello everyone, Monkey See Monkey Play here. I felt a little bit bored today, not really a lot to do, and I've just come off of a binge of the Yogs cast playing Civilization Brave New World, and I thought I should have a go at doing my own. I do truly love this game. I mean, it is literally an obsession, and I just thought I'd have a play and see if any of you guys out there actually like watching me play it. So what I'm going to do to try and make this a little bit interesting is I'm going to set myself a few challenges. The main one being that I'm not actually going to choose a civilization. I am going to let the computer choose for me by setting up. How do we do it? Right. Set up a game. Okay. So here I'm just going to select it as a random leader. Normally I really hate doing this because there are certain civilizations that it's easier to play with, certain civilizations where it's where my playstyle is more appreciated with them. Also, it can mean going into the game not really knowing what you're getting into, which is part of the fun, but not something that I really like to do. Right. Oh, right. Okay, the lead is just going to be called Monkey. No, yeah, Monkey. Right. I'm going to set it to continent. See, now normally I play on Pangaea, which is this one here. All players start on one large landmass. There may be small islands off to the main continent. But the only problem with that, well, not problem, the only thing with that is that it's kind of, well, it's kind of boring. Once you've sort of explored everywhere, you kind of know what you're doing. Whereas the continents always gives it, in the sort of the middle to late game, it gives another world to explore, another part to go to. We're going to go for a large size, which is 10 players and 20 city-states. And difficulty-wise, I'm going to probably leave it on King. Now, I can play Emperor, which is considered to be very hard. But I'd rather not embarrass myself on anything I'm recording. So I'm going to leave it on hard. And just to make sure that it doesn't take a billion years for anything to happen, I'm going to leave it on standard. The map size is large, which means that we don't really have to worry too much about, at this game pace, we don't have to worry too much about the world being so huge that by the time you get your army from one side to the other, that 1,000 years has passed. Apart from that, we're all kind of set up and ready to go. So yeah, I'm just going to let it load. Press the start button, let it load, and I will come back to you when I know who I'm playing and when the game starts. See you in a moment. Right, and we are back, and it seems that the computer, in its infinite wisdom, has chosen for us the Roman Empire. Excuse me. One of my favourite civilizations to play, actually, which makes this a lot easier. Means I actually kind of know what I'm doing. The Romans are an interesting civilization to play. Their racial bonus, if racial bonus is the right way of putting it, is the glory of Rome. Plus 25% production towards any building that already exists in the capital. Now, this makes them a very not easy to play, but a very malleable player. It means that you can base the victory that you're going to go for on what you build in the capital. So that means that you have a great deal of flexibility. If you're going for a cultural victory, that means that building an amphitheatre or an opera house in the capital instantly makes it easier to do it in any of your other cities, which obviously makes that a lot quicker. It allows cities to defend themselves quicker because it means that you can get buildings out of the way to focus on units. Or, militaristically, it allows you to build barracks and armories and all that shiz, um, and sort of get them out of the way quicker, allowing you to build your units and have the experience. Those are those two examples. Scientifically, it allows you to build the science buildings and have them move quicker, yada yada yada, you get the idea. The Romans do not have a unique building, which is my only really downside with them, because I do like the unique buildings in this game. It just makes it makes the civilization feel special somehow. But they do get 2 military units, and they are pretty damn good units. We have the ballista, which is a siege unit that does major damage from a distance, but must be set up prior to firing. That's pretty standard. Only the Romans can build it. This unit has a higher ranged combat strength than the catapult, which it replaces, which means that once you have mathematics, the Romans are a very, very good fighters, particularly against cities, something that most civilizations lack, particularly at the beginning. No, and it doesn't require iron. The Legion is a classical era unit. It requires metalworking, I think. It's the one that normally gives you a swordsman. This unit has a higher combat strength than the swordsman, which it replaces. And also what it doesn't tell you here is that the Legion can build roads. So it means that by building them, you can actually free up your workers to focus on improving tiles around your city, which means that unlike other military units, particularly early in the game, where they might just be kind of sitting there to protect you from barbarians and maybe the occasional war fight, they actually can do something else as well. One thing I should say, and I'm not sure if it's going to show up in recording or not, but I am playing this game in 1280 by 720, which is not a resolution that Civilization 5 supports. Now, I can't remember if it used to, but it most certainly doesn't now. I don't know why, because obviously it's a pretty standard resolution, but it means that there's a slight cut-off at the bottom, but it's only in things like this, when like bits of stuff sort of show up like this. Anyway, let's get this started. Let's have a look around at where we are starting, shall we? Okay, so we're on a river, which is good. There is a few things that require rivers, if I remember correctly. The water wheel is the only one I can remember off the top of my head. Unfortunately, because of these jungles to the south, we can't really see what's further south than here if we start our civ here. And I can't really see a way of getting this military unit... oh, I guess I could... Right, so let's look at this first. Okay, so we've got gems here, which are... we won't be able to get any food there, but this gem has food. But I think that food comes from the jungle. Yeah, the second we destroy that, it's only going to be production. We've got dyes here. That means we've got 2 happiness increasing resources, which means that the second we build our city, we've got the 4 required to set it up, plus an extra 4 to grow onto. I'm going to see if I can... Let me see, if I move him here, then I should be able to see a bit more south. Ah, okay. So we've got more gems there. Pretty damn good for getting money at the beginning of the game as well. So we are just going to settle Rome here on this river in the middle of a desert. Okay. Right, let's get our production up and going. Let's go into the city as well, open city management. Okay, at the moment, the only way to grow and do anything else is here. If we put that there, we have got growth, but 15 turns is catastrophic at the beginning of the game. And it isn't really altering... Okay, it's decreasing the scout by 2 turns, and the monument, like everything by about 2 turns. And I'm okay just to suffer those 2 turns, particularly at the beginning of the game. Okay, I'm going to go for the scout. Turn to the map. And technology-wise, I don't really know what I'm doing, frankly, the way I'm going to have to try and win this game. One of the things about Civ is you've got to kind of play it as you go along. You can't be too specific about lots of stuff like, oh, I definitely want to win this way, because one of the great things about this game is you don't know what you're going to be confronted with. You have to work to order. But in the beginning, because you don't really have any direction, you can kind of sort of do what you want. Now, it's going to take a while until I get the technologies required to really start to require a worker, that's what it's called. Plus, at the beginning, they do take frickin' ages to build. So I'm going to do my pretty standard, which is I like to go for writing, because it gives you the Great Library, which is the first wonder that I really like to worry about building. Also, it requires pottery, which is the tech before it, which gives you the shrine and the granary. Now, I used to not build granaries very often, but as I've started to play it more and sort of get used to, not get used to, but sort of understand the game better, the granary is incredibly useful. It does make cities, it makes cities with food grow incredibly fast, and cities without food, it really does give them a bonus. And since the production, gold, science, through things like libraries and etc., really are dependent on the amount of people that you have in your cities, you do need to focus on growing them, whether you're going for a large empire or a small empire. Now, generally, I tend to play this game with small empires. I like to have 4 cities at the maximum, because a lot of the social policies in the tradition, 2 of the social policies in the tradition tree are about the first 4 cities. So this one here, legalism, provides a free cultural building in your first 4 cities. And obviously, if you get all of the social policies in the tradition tree, as it says there, adopting all policies in the tradition tree will grant 15% growth in 15% plus growth, and that is all cities, and a free aqueduct in your first 4. Now, I don't really know how much space or size I've got going on here to expand into, and I won't know for quite a little while. So I don't know if I'm going to go tradition or liberty. I do like to go for both, but more often than not, that is just too difficult. It is difficult to generate culture that fast, particularly if you are going highly expansionist. Although there are a few social policies, particularly in the Liberty Tree, that decrease the amount of points required for any increasing social policies. Aha! Ruins, right. Cool. Ruins are always a godsend in this game. You really, really do need to try and grab as many of them as possible, particularly if you can get lucky enough to get the big things about. Come on, what have we got? Yes, culture, woo. Right, see, stuff like that, really, really freaking useful. So let's adopt tradition. I like to open by adopting tradition, and then either piety or honour. Usually, maybe liberty, depending on what I'm looking at. Okay, so we've got a lot of forest over here, so our warrior isn't really good for exploring over there, so I'm going to bring it back to Rome. Oh, sorry about that, I hit my mic. Going to bring the warrior back to Rome, particularly because, particularly since we've built this scout now. Okay, I do like to start by generating as much culture as possible. The other thing is, this is something I learnt recently, and I'm pretty sure it's true. I mean, I didn't read it or anything, I just sort of noticed it. This one here, legalism, provides a free cultural building in your first 4 cities. That seems to choose not a specific one, but whichever is the next one. So, for example, since some of the recent patches, when you build you need a monument, which is the initial cultural building, in order to build an amphitheatre, and you need an amphitheatre in order to build, I think the next one is the Opera House. If you build a monument and then adopt legalism. The monument doesn't then become free. What becomes free is the amphitheatre. Okay, so it's not a social policy that takes what you've already built and makes it cheaper. It actually adds to what you're doing, which is quite useful, but it does mean you kind of want to adopt it after having built something in the capital. Plus with Rome, oh, that's useful. Right, plus with Rome, with the bonus of plus 25% production, excuse me, if you build the monument here, it makes it easier in the other cities. So even if the monument isn't the initial cultural building, you still get a bonus. Okay, that's given me a map, which is semi-useful. Wow, I do have a lot of gems around here. I'm going to have quite a lot of gold, particularly if I plonk another city up here. But I need to... I think this looks like it might have access to the sea, but I'm going to have to check that one.